Tomato is a major ingredient in the diet of many Ghanaians and is consumed widely across the country. However, pests such as fruit borers, mites, early and late blight, etc., are major threats to the productivity and profitability of tomato farming. Farmers often resort to using harmful or high-risk pesticides in efforts to mitigate crop loss from these pests and to safeguard their investments.
Bajuma miye nyina ye entois ene cabbage. Entois ne cabbage adwuma na ye no eye kama pa. Eno ana ye de hwe ye ho, de hwe me ma, ene mabusua. Eno ana me de bo me bra. Denso na nsan adwuma na ya enyala wo bebre aba adwuma no so. Ya de biti se bright. Wo ye adwuma na be house a ross. Ema ni je kura ni adwuma nim. Ema ye bre e wo adwuma no ho. Enti ama enuro so ahodo bebre na aba. Esansa insa e haye wo adwuma mu nti. Aduro bi e beti dini bia na yakoto bi. Ye de abaye adwuma no. Aduro bi wo ha wakoto ne nde. Wo be yusu e bedi na awotwe. Na aduro na sai. Wo bokora enye adwuma bi.
Tomatoes wafo no edane se boa aduro na wo de bebo tomatoes ni so. Edua tomatoes na by 10 days time no the tomatoes na paja. Ya sisa fet ni bi aguase na ya bonnetie de aguso amano. Wo bonnetie na 3 days. Now the dieting on agriculture. Abema yare bia na emmam na top corn no de aboso. Nti ono no aka no mebone na wotwe.
Let us first understand what a pesticide is. Pesticide is any substance used to kill or control pests such as insects, fungi, weeds, and animals such as rodents that cause economic damage to crops. Anything that can kill insects can also kill humans. The only difference is the quantity required. Pesticides are therefore harmful to humans and should be used carefully in crop production. The potency of pesticides takes days, months, or even years to break down depending on the type used. Some pesticides can accumulate in fruits and vegetables after a number of applications. Similarly, continuous exposure of humans to pesticides through its sale, application, and consumption of contaminated foods can lead to accumulation of pesticides residues in the human body, resulting in short-term and long-term health implications. Pesticides can also have negative effects on the environment by polluting the air we breathe in or contaminating soils and water bodies which support plant, animal, and human life.
Misuse of chemicals comes in different ways. Either we use less than we want to use, or we use more than. And the effect of that is that the targeted organism may develop resistance. And once they've developed resistance, the dosage needs to be changed. And as you change dosage, there's also the possibility of applying more frequently.
Challenges kakra yo power farmers no say obetire ne say chemical A and so they started at the ball na phone so we kono ma mix chemicals no 2 and 3 ya frase say be ya ne active ingredients no ebe kosoro, but for what we know say so me say e bia chemicals no you know ana miensa e di boma e ma bia na active ingredients me san be ye ade fufuro bia nti wo de ko afuo no so na say isana na say e mo na ntimi amfiri so a o se bia duro na wo kire no na enye 2 oje enkyerɛkyerɛ ne free omo farmers no ho most omo pɛ omo farmers no tie sɛ esumasi kura ɛyɛ ni sei no e why than say me as a officer no na ka kyerɛ na ma na yɛ den afa omo yɛ ade na ka ya ka kyerɛ omo sɛ ma onka omo mfa nnuro no nyinaa emfra ɛwɔ baro mu ansana omo yɛ that obɛfra dieting omo fra pesticides na fra or the fungicides afra or the running in our flower barumna or bo or bona when we and then crampa or china. I didn't that's so good. Uncle no was sign about at the abo and then the challenges are ye face power in district in house.
Some examples of the misuse of pesticides by farmers are use of unregistered or banned products, use of pesticides on crops other than those for which they were registered, use of pesticides with long pre-harvest intervals during fruiting or harvesting, failure to observe the recommended pre-harvest interval for the given products, non-adherence to the recommended dosage, improper handling and storage of pesticides in shops, farms, and homes, unsafe disposal of pesticide containers after use, non-use or improper use of appropriate personal protective equipment.
With regards to pesticide use, we have identified several gaps that exist and not making the implementation easy at all. The first one I'd like to mention has to do with the nature of our borders, which are very porous. And so you will find in the country several pesticides which have not been registered, but are being sold in this country. Secondly, we can also talk about inadequate monitoring, post-registration monitoring, which is critical. But for some reason, we are unable to do the monitoring as much as possible, or as much as we would like. Also, thirdly, there are not enough staff trained in this area to be able to monitor. So if you put these three gaps together, you see that we have a very difficult task ahead, and it's important that we find very innovative ways to overcome this gap.
Our major concern now, farmers are getting education from the wrong sources. Typically, it's the agrochemical dealers. Most of our agrochemical dealers do not have clue on the usage of pesticide, but they are the major contact point for our farmers, and farmers tend to listen to them more than officers. So in this regard, the abuse is on the higher side.
Pesticide misuse especially begins generally from the input dealers. They are the people who are always in touch with the farmers. One of the challenges is that the major actors in the pesticide industry are not the people who sit at the distribution gate or the point of sale with the farmer. They employ people whose capacity are not adequate. And so with that, their ability to help the farmer, educate the farmer to understand the pesticide they are using is limited. And there are also those who, for monetary reason, even sell adulterated products or wrongly labeled products.
Different companies, Obia company our year. The time we prefer the 4 times on my be according the sense you hassle and I know yet. Until you prefer the was mom said the bear or mom to do something to because I never hear them.
The overdose use of pesticides has resulted in the accumulation of pesticides residues in fresh tomatoes and other vegetables. Previous studies have reported pesticides residues including acetamiprid, carbendazim, metachloropyrifos, monocrotophos, diphenhcarbendazole, and many more.
One of the things that we have found in a work that we did, I think that was 2018, 2019, where we did a multi-residual analysis. We had some food products that we commonly are consumed by Ghanaians. So we bought from major markets, in Greater Accra, and analyzed them. And some of the products that we looked at was lettuce, tomatoes, about 10 products that we looked at. And we were generally surprised to find out that about 33% of them had issues with various residual levels of some chemicals.
Manage atosodie ho pa nanso nansan nyama bebre aba ansisanso bone bia ye aba atosodie ma a je se wo di kura no a na mfi se eburu adwen ne ntiase so yane a yedi saa atosodie no edi sunsanso bone ebi ebre yen ebi eti se onipa wo ho no ma wo bedi bewie no na wo yamu ahase na ehwie wo bewie na fe wo yamu samfro bewie oni sukura tumi de ebriw afen so ema wo saa no ewo ha no ate tumbo palipali
nlo na ya bo no ye betimi anya nsunsanso a obenya de sai saduro no be pompi a mi senjina hoi be bomfu okura na nso jerikan na mi de sopra bensu a mi a wona nyina hyehyem wuti betimi apayo oyefunu betimi ayoya na oho so betimi ayo hene disimina kura hukuru manim kura na hudwanam.
When you ingest, that is, the food or water or you are drinking contains these pesticides, once they get into your body and are accumulating, they're now going to affect your organs and your systems. These can also affect your nerves, so once your nervous systems are also affected, they come with their own health risk. Once your hormones are affected, they also lead to affecting your reproductive system. These can directly affect fertility rates. They can come with birth defects and also affect development growth of our offsprings. This is the same thing that can happen on non-targeted organisms. Frogs, snakes, the insects that you didn't want to target, bees, which are useful to us as pollinators, they produce honey for us. Other insects that we use to control the very pests that we want are all affected by the pesticides we use. When they get into water, they can affect the fishes we didn't target to use these pesticides on.
Mrs. Say, enka aban ene ankra omutumi ka biye no.
As the Department of Agri in the district, we have also taken upon ourselves to educate our farmers through workshop and training programs. And our officers, that is the Agri Extension agents, are at the forefront of these trainings.
Some of the trainings that we give to farmers, which can help or that helps them. One, the farmer have to dress properly. Put on his working gear or overall, nose masks, wear goggles, and then gloves. Put on his or her Wellington boot. We tell farmers that when they buy the input or the agrochemicals, they should use the right dosage. Each and every chemical have its dosage quantity that's supposed to be put into the knapsack sprayer. All of them, they are not the same. So when you get any of them, they must listen to the advice that we have given them to use.
As a department, in terms of compliance, our staff have a routine visit. They conduct to the workshops. The staff will always go there to monitor and check on these things to see that the products that are sold are the right products and in the right condition. And even the way they handle the products, the temperature requirement and all those things, issues our officers go to the field to educate the shop owners, and where it is clear that they are breaching or they are failing to do the right thing, the necessary sanctions are always applied.
We've been monitoring the activities of these input dealers. We have periodic monitoring of these outlets. Through these monitorings, we normally backstop the input dealers and
anybody who is affiliated to the shops. And also, we normally organize trainings for the agri-extension agents who are a bit closer to the farmers, so that they can also assist in the usage of these pesticides and fertilizers.
I think it's very, very easy to see from the problems that chemical hazards from pesticides can, bring to all of us. So because of that, the FDA has been successful to push what we call the food safety policy. The document has been able to clearly state the roles and responsibility of each institution. So for example, in this case with the pesticides, there's a role that the local government is playing in it, and that is what we want people to understand, that hitherto the ease with which anybody could just grow anything and would just want to take it to the market. I mean, those days are on the count now, to make sure we stop such things, because the collaboration is looking at the possibility of restricting anybody just getting up and taking certain things to the market. The Food and Drugs Authority is cooperating with the market queens of Agbogbloshie, one of the biggest markets in Accra, where a lot of people come and pick their farm products from, where we are working with aggregators there to put in a traceability system to be able to, trace back to where they get their tomatoes. And this is supposed to be a link that would get us working with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, so that at least when people buy, we are able to trace back from the point of sale, that is the market women, going all the way back to the aggregators and then to even individual farms.
Yɛwɔ afidie no a yɛatwerɛtwerɛ nɔmba bi wɔ ho. Nɔmba no wohyɛ nsuo no ma no yɛ 15. Ɛsi 15 na wobua so a ɛntu mfa ho. Ɔba ɔmma yare bia. Na mmom wohyɛ ma no tra 15 na wode hyɛ wakyi nsuo no bɛtu afa wo honam ho. Abɛma woanya yadeɛ. Ntosi na medɔ no. Ɛna nsɛ medi bi. Me ne mabusuafoɔ bɛrɛ so sɛ ntosi no bra adura mede bɛbɔ a mefi sɛ ɛbɛyɛ haw ama amanfoɔ no. Mefasa aduro no mo.
Any kwan sɛ aduro bi a yɛ no for say, any kwan sɛ yɛ tɔn. Ɛna aduro nso aspire ɛnsɛ sɛ wɔtɔn. Ɛna ebi so te sɛ bi a wonni certificate ana wontaa ma training ana won register w'adwuma no te sɛ bi a PPRSD for any way a wonni right sɛ wofiti a no akɔbɔ wɔ yi baby na wotɔn.
Yɛ meka kyerɛ me nuanom farmers na yetu amofo no sɛ yɛsrɛ omo sese yade atia sese ne nyinaa nam yenuane ene yeniema yedinti yɛbɛsrɛ omo sɛ so ombɛfa ombɛkɔ baabi akɔtɔ nura omo mmɔden asɛ aduro na omo kɔ akɔtɔ no ombɛgye ho nimdeɛ free agric office na afei so omo kɔtɔ aduro na omo nim hwe kra na omo fa ma omo ma omo akɔ school no na omo nkan ho ma omo hu even expiring date and so active ingredients. If it's a near maybe womua, ebiana adro A, ene adro B, enyina ye adwuma kro. Nanso no akɔfa ne nyina de abona ama wo ka bebre.
My advice to the input dealers is that they are also part of the knowledge sharing mechanism. The product they are dealing with, they need to know it very well. They themselves need to be very conversant with the labeling, with the instructions, safety instructions, and all those things, so that when the farmers come, they should get time to educate them. They shouldn't just be interested in making the money. It is their duty to let the farmer get the best out of the product, and that is how they themselves can stay in business.
Those who are also aggregating, you need to know what you pick from where, just in case something happens. And then, in fact, before you even pick, you have to ask, what has that product gone through? What did they spray it? Did they do the right thing? You need to do some kind of, documentation check to know the history. So it is your responsibility to check that what you are picking goes according to standard. It is very, very important. When you also pick, there must be evidence that you picked it from farmer A and you added farmer B's own and farmer C. And then these are the marks that are on the products.
As traders, let's take interest in sourcing for and selling food items produced under safer crop management practices, including minimal use of pesticides to safeguard the health of our consumers. Avoid applying unapproved products to produce with the aim of improving their attractiveness and increasing their shelf life. Let's think of the health of our customers and final consumers ahead of profits.
As consumers, we should learn how to wash our produce, especially when consuming them fresh, with water, with baking soda. All these are methods in which we can reduce the pesticides' effects on our health. We can reduce the number of times we use pesticides in a production cycle by using other methods to suppress pests to a level that they are of no economic importance to us. Our cultural practices are some of the ways we can control pests in our fields in such a way that the numbers are at a level that you don't need to use these pesticides on them. The same way the planting materials we use, some have built certain resistance that the pest can be there, but it's not affecting the economic yield you are expecting. So there is no need wasting money on the use of these pesticides. And where they are there, I mean the pests on your crops, there are other organisms that from the way we manage our farms, naturally they can suppress their numbers in our fields so that it's of no concern to us. Apart from these organisms, there are low-risk pesticides that we can use, where the toxicity to humans and the environment and other animals are that low, so it just will cause harm to your targeted pests. And these low-risk ones, low-toxicity pesticides, are also those that may come from a manufacturing line or can be mixed at the farmer level. Examples are using neems, neem leaves, neem seeds, neem cakes. We can use Hyptis, Chromolina. All these are what we call biopesticides that we can mix and use. Again, using these leaves or botanicals as others may call, or these other insects which in general we call them the biopesticides, are methods that we need to add to the use of these pesticides. So in a way, you are integrating all these pest management systems in a way that we can then reduce the excessive use of pesticides.
Food safety is everyone's business. Let's do our part. Let's work together to reduce pesticide risk and secure our health and longevity for all.